The following video was recorded before the Tekken devs officially announced that Season 2 would feature on-screen fight text, things like counter hit, punish, the number of combo hits, the number of combo damage, things like that will be on-screen in-game. We don't know how they're going to officially do it yet, they just mentioned it briefly in an interview. We'll analyze that interview on the main channel, but for now, this rant I do about counter hit sparks, just remember it was recorded before that announcement. Okay, enjoy.
I am generally against the idea of making games too easy. Now, this isn't an argument against like accessibility. I think accessibility is pretty important. But I am against making games too easy. And I'm not saying that as somebody who's trying to gatekeep new players from enjoying the game. I say that as somebody who is very interested in watching like humans get faster and like more sharp. So a good example of that is the throw break window in Tekken Tag 2 versus Tekken 7. In Tekken Tag 2 and before, I believe the throw break window was 14 frames. Here we go. Nice data. 20 frame break window. Yeah, in Tekken 7 it was 20 frames and 14 frames in Tekken Tag 2, right? So in and back in Tekken 5 to Tekken Tag 2, throws, generic throws like their left arm or their right arm, you had to break that properly. In Tekken 7 and on, these generic throws you could break with either punch button. But in the old Tekkens you had to do the correct throw as if they were all command throws. And it was a faster break window. And people were breaking these throws. When Fakumram came out in Tekken 7, and he had a bugged throw, pros who were breaking throws back in Tekken Tag 2 and before could not break his throw. There was a bug in the release of Fakumram where his 1+2 throw, I'm trying to find it here in the move list, his 1+2 throw had the Tekken Tag 2 frame data. Genocidal Rush, this one. Yeah. So this throw was very breakable if you played the old games. But I swear to you, after 4+ years of Tekken 7 and people got used to the slower break window, nobody was breaking this throw online. Nobody was breaking Genocidal Rush. And it blew my mind because I'm like, we were capable of this before. We just can't now because we've slowed down. This actually happened, okay? I'm serious. So, what's my point? My point is, Tekken 7 has added this counter hit spark, this big pink slash, and it calls out basically, it's an elegant way, in my opinion, of showing a counter hit. They've done other things that show counter hits, like big zoom-ins or a big kaboom sound, but I think these are like not necessarily making the game too easy. I think these are decent changes like for quality of life. The pink slash does make counter hit confirming a bit easier than it used to be by like a pretty significant amount. I'm going to show Tekken 7 Steve as well to demonstrate this. So we have the counter hit spark and then we have the counter hit zoom. These are two big changes that kind of drastically made it easier to counter hit confirm things, especially the things that lead into combos, right? So when Steve hits a counter hit back one here, the camera zooms in and it becomes clear to spectators, it becomes clear to everybody that that was a counter hit, right? Here, let me turn on the audio so you can hear it. I hope there's no music in this that'll mess it up. There's some music, but it's just Tekken. Okay, I don't know if you heard that. I'll play it again. Do that, it's like boom. So it's like a notification. And I think it's okay. But in old Tekkens, like here, this is Steve's back one in Tekken Tag 2, the game before. No zoom in. They just get dropped. So you're moving around, you're fighting, and then all of a sudden, boom, the opponent is dropped, and you have to recognize it based on what happened before. It's not just the hit spark, it's not just the zoom in. You have to be noticing your opponent's movements and habits. And if you swung for the counter hit and you were like aware that you interrupted them, you have a small window to confirm. This little counter notification here in the left is only in practice mode. That didn't exist in game. And call me an old head, but I like this. I think it's kind of cool. Tekken has like slower startup animations than anime games because it's a 3D fighting game and not like sprite based. You get more fluid like movements. And if I'm talking out of my ass about like sprite based or anything like that, that's because I'm an anime noob, right? But I think the fluidity of the attacking movements, the fact that they're slower, the fact that the opponents have like a point A to point B of their animation, to me gives a lot of clues about the fact that you landed a counter hit. And I think this is all cool. So when I think of adding, like, okay, why did I even start ranting about this? This guy said, I do anything for a better counter hit notification than a hit effect I gotta look for. And all of that is to say, I like the idea of keeping it hard. Pause. I like the idea of being so sharp and aware that you can recognize a counter hit just by the animation and by you interrupting your opponent's movements. I don't like the idea of in Tekken having this big counter hit notification. This for Street Fighter is interesting because Street Fighter, again, faster startup frames on a lot of the moves. And hit confirming and counter hit confirming is a big deal in neutral. I remember seeing Tokido measuring tape his face away from the monitor. And the logic here, from what I understand talking to better players, is sometimes it's too hard to hit confirm based on the animations of your opponents. But if you're sitting far away enough, you can see the health bar go down, you can see the counter hit notification pop up just in your peripheral vision and then go. I like those things. I like the idea of it being hard and us as humans having to sharpen ourselves to confirm these things. So I saw this and I was like, I don't know if Tekken should add something like a counter hit notification. You know? I don't know if that's the move. So I was gonna joke like I'd do anything to not need glasses to see again. But here we are. But I didn't know if that was mean or not. I didn't know if that was mean or not because maybe it is really hard to see these things and I'm just Tekken pilled, you know? Because my idea is like, this is pretty visible. This is very visible to me. Compared to the old Tekkens like this, you could barely tell. Like the hit spark is a little like cloudier, right? But to me, this compared to this is so different, right? So, but it's not a small spark. This thing's going across the screen. It's not small at all. It's humongous. Do you see how big this is? I strongly believe that we as humans can become faster. Can become faster and stronger. That's a pause screenshot, brother. People were doing it here. Look at this. Look at this. Now that you know what to look for, look at it in full speed. Look at it in full speed, okay? Look at this. See, every spark is small. It's colored like to the character. Boom. Look at that. That's huge. That's humongous. You can't miss that. Listen. Listen. I am a beginner-friendly streamer. Simultaneously, my glasses are extremely thick. Like, this lens, you could choke on it. That's how thick it is. Like, thickness-wise. Right? So, to me, yeah, the idea of counter hit recognition being skill-based is cool to me. So, to me, I don't know if I'll send this tweet because it feels, you know, it feels gatekeepy to send that tweet. But I like the idea of things being difficult so that we become faster as people and humans. That part is cool to me. It's not about gatekeeping to stop people from counter hit confirming. It's about having a mechanic that is accessible with training. You know what I mean? That's what I think is cool. And it's not impossible to train. It's just, it takes time. It takes effort. And even a counter hit in Street Fighter, I thought I could never counter hit a jab as Cammy and confirm it into like a crouching medium punch, right? But I just played the game more. I fought people in lobbies where that was my only goal, was to work on that, and it was doable. Not 100%, but I think that kind of skill check is really cool to me. So, I don't know. Do you agree with me? Do you agree? I want to put this on YouTube, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to disagree with me. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I don't know what part they'll disagree about. But I like the idea of a skill thing. Now, obviously, when it comes to like ableism and physical like handicaps and like barriers, that's different, I think. But I also think I'm not qualified at all to speak on that. But I love the idea of games that push us to become faster and stronger and sharper. You know what I mean? And I think the counter hit Hitspark is actually a good move in that direction. So I put out a video where, here, let me see. BDX 2-minute tips. I put out a video that like highlighted this. Is it a playlist, bro? Counter hit confirm. Here we go. Like, to me, this is very visible as well, but again, I'm Tekken pilled. So look at Laws 111. It's a cloud, right? But if you turn on counter hit, it's a spark. If you are pressing the button, you can like fine-tune you can fine-tune your senses. You can fine-tune your senses to pay attention for that visually when you're hitting the button. So it's not just, I'm playing the full game, I need to see this spark. For me, it's when I choose to hit 1-1, I look for the spark. And if I see the spark, I finish the string. Right? I think that's really cool. So this is me doing the drill, like trying to see, hey, can I recognize it off the first 2 hits and confirm it on the 3rd hit? And I think this is a Tekken thing where strings are slower relative to other fighting games, or like 2D games where things are generally like faster startup frames. Things have faster startup frames. I think that enables this kind of skill expression. Same with King's counter hit down forward 2. It used to be you had to just recognize off your opponent's animation, but now with this spark, it becomes easier to confirm. So, yeah, I maybe I'm an old head, maybe I'm out of touch, but to me, this is just, it's so cool. And especially if you put in the training to feel faster, to feel stronger, the training is so rewarding. Tekken has so much stuff to pay attention to that stacking on whether or not you get a counter hit adds frustration. It's so much stuff to keep track of. Game helps you with nothing. So that's what I'm saying. The game does not teach you this, which is whack. I feel like the game could definitely afford to teach this. But it's not an extra thing to keep track of depending on how you train it into your muscle memory. So when I throw out a Law 111, I'm sitting in the practice mode, training my eyes to look for the spark as I hit the 1-1. So it is a segmented focus. It's not like the entire time I'm playing Tekken, I am looking for the counter hit spark. It's, I choose to play the game, to duck the strings, to put out my hitboxes, to sidestep stuff like that. And then when I decide to hit 1-1, my brain goes, look for the spark. And I think that's cool. That is a skill that requires tons of effort. And as the defender, the counter hit spark doesn't matter to you, right? As the defender, that doesn't matter. There are other situations too where it's not even counter hit confirming a string. You can learn about your opponent's psychology, right? By hitting a counter hit while you're just doing like jabs. If you jab someone 3 times and it counter hits 3 times, you're like, this guy's a masher, you know? On one hand, I do think it is a touch of you being out of touch considering how much stronger as a player you are versus a lot of other players, but I do think it should stay as is. It's fine. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, guys, just learn this. I'm saying if you take the time to learn this, weeks of drilling and effort, I feel like it's a very rewarding experience. And to me, to stay engaged with fighting games, it is almost necessary to tap into that reward cycle of I'm actually becoming faster and better at the game. It's not just a knowledge check. The cool part about fighting games is it's not like a card game where you can just brain your way through it and stats your way through it and then you win. You have to actually put in biomechanical work to develop, right? Like it requires the training you would do for like a martial art. I have friends who are meditating, changing their diet, working out more, sleeping better to try to access these skills. And isn't that kind of cool? Isn't that kind of cool that if you become a better human, you get better at the game? There was a message I wanted to read that was way higher. I agree and disagree. I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, me as maybe a slightly above average player, I just don't have the reaction to be able to catch that counter hit spark in the heat of a match when I have 80 other things to worry about. Yeah. And that's what I mean is that it's a distinct training thing. So for me, I have played the game for a long time. I've played the game for a super long time. Even when I go into, like when I started Tekken 8, I wasn't a Lily player, right? They added a new string in Lily's 113. What I did when I learned that this was a counter hit confirmable string is I literally went into practice mode and turned on random counter hits and just drilled this. I would put the opponent on, I would always make them standing and I'd put counter hit on shuffle. And I'd hit 1-1. So this is how I trained it. I said, I'm going to press 1-1. If I see the spark, I'll hit the 3. If not, I won't. There's a spark. And also something that helps is turning off this these hit properties. There's the spark. I missed it. There's no spark. There's the spark, right? It's hard. It's super hard. But Anna Managuchi said something cool. Deeply resonate with this. Rewarding versus fun are not opposed at all, but the reward of rigorous practice is one that a lot of people don't have patience for. And I agree with that. I agree that we don't have a lot of patience for things like this. But we, I think, are missing out on cool developments as humans by not having this. And then if you want to make it even harder, you turn on random block. Turn on random block, standing block. And then you have to counter hit confirm and hit confirm. It is hard. And that's the thing. I never said, I don't think once in this entire rant I said it was easy. I don't think in any part of this rant I said this is easy, just do it. I think what is cool to me is that it does take work. And the reward of doing the work is like so satisfying and carries across to the rest of life. And I know that sounds really dramatic, but truly, if you put in the work to do something like this, that kind of effort going to the gym is way easier. You pick up and put down the weight, make sure you have good enough form that you don't hurt yourself, right? But developing this coordination, this like speed between the eyes and the hands is awesome. So, I don't know. It's something that I may disagree with a bunch of people on, but it's also something I would rather not compromise on, because having seen people actually get faster and slower in the game, this Fakuram throw, where did it go? This Fakuram throw really convinced me of this. When I watched like the top Korean pros in the game, when I watched the top Korean pros in the game not be able to break this throw because of how much it slowed down, or how much the game slowed down, I was blown away. I was like, wow, we really can get worse at the game. We can really get slower. But if the game is forcing us to speed up and it's practicable, and again, not accounting for like genuine disabilities or things like that, because I don't want to speak out of turn with regard to that.
I agree. Having more grades in skill.
I truly think that watching people unable to break this throw when they could break it before, and it's not just like an age thing, it's like the speed of the game like pushing you to be faster versus allowing you to be slower. I don't know. I like fast gamers, you know? I think there are lots of slow games out there for people to enjoy at a leisurely pace. I like the idea of a game that you have to train for and a game that you have to work super hard at. Hot take, why would we take away from the people who do want to work hard for something just because someone else doesn't? Why are we okay shitting in someone's cereal because someone else doesn't like it? I think that's an oppositional way to frame it, but I agree. People often say like Tekken should be more like Virtua Fighter, but in my mind, it's like, why don't we play Virtua Fighter if we like Virtua Fighter? Why don't we play Tekken if we like Tekken? You know, the fact that the games are different, I think, is an appeal because people get to choose their experience. Yeah, Virtua Fighter hasn't had a release in a long time, but that's changing soon, right? And I think the real shame is that these developers are letting these franchises kind of go to waste, not the fact that these franchises are different mechanically. I think that differences in mechanics is what draws us to different games, and that those differences are cool to me. I think Tekken has been great for so long because it does Tekken things, and yeah, they're really hard to access and they're really unique to Tekken players specifically, but that's what makes Tekken cool to me. Anyways, I ranted about that for a long time. Thanks for sitting along for my wild ride.
And that is it for this video. If you like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Those really help me out, guys. And check out my other videos where I teach a lot of newbie-friendly tutorials and beginner guides for Tekken enthusiasts. And as you guys may know, I was a Noctis main in Tekken 7. There is no Noctis anymore, so if I play a little subpar, that's probably why. I haven't found my new main yet. And I keep telling myself it might be Lily, but I might go back to Steve, because I'm not sure how I do well in high-rank competitive play. And if I lose, I down a bottle of wine. So prevent me from becoming an alcoholic. And like, comment, subscribe today!